Moving on to topic 2, let's talk some wrestling, everybody's favorite. We're going to be talking about the Royal Rumble 2023. As of recording, it's coming up this Saturday at 8 Eastern on the 20th. Over on Peacock, hashtag ad, not really. Just wanted to talk about Royal Rumble, talk about my thoughts, predictions, who's going to show up, who's not going to show up, etc., as we're kind of approaching the event this Saturday. So as of right now, as of recording, they only have a few matches announced, which kind of makes sense. You got both Rumbles. That's going to take up at least an hour per. So you got to be careful with what, other time you're allotting. Because if you do too much, then it's going to be a 4-hour show. And while some people might like that, as long as it's interesting, the rest, it's going to be a drag. So far we have 5 matches listed. 5? Yes, 5. 5 matches listed. We have Bray Wyatt versus LA Knight in the Mountain Dew Baja Blast Pitch Black match. Nice. Okay, take out the Baja Blast, but the Mountain Dew Pitch Black match. What the fuck is that? I don't know. But Wyatt and Knight going on in that. We have the Raw Women's Champion Bianca Belair defending against Alexa Bliss. We have the undisputed WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns defending against Kevin Owens, and then we have both the men's and women's Royal Rumbles, respectively. So we got that going on. So let's talk about the matches and what is going on. So let's talk about the Baja Blast Pitch Black fight. I like both of these guys. Obviously, Bray has come back. He's going with this whole Uncle Howdy White Rabbit thing, and it was interesting at first, and it's still interesting, but it's getting to the point where it's like something needs to happen, and finally it seems like Saturday something will happen. We've had a couple more teases as we've gotten closer to the Rumble of certain things where there's a standoff, and then Uncle Howdy has attacked Bray, and then Alexa, which we'll get to on the other side of the coin, is starting to get repossessed or reintegrated into this Bray Wyatt group as she becomes evil again, and Uncle Howdy's messing with her mind. And then recently on SmackDown, I don't know if it was this Friday or maybe it was the last Friday, Bray Wyatt's like, I am Uncle Howdy, I am this. And it's like, but he attacked you and you're not, what? And then we're back in the Firefly Funhouse, and it's like, wait, didn't we burn that down, or it was all webbed up, and then the puppets were alive, and we thought, oh, all 5 puppets are going to be people, and a lot of question marks in the air. I just want answers, damn it. So maybe something will happen Saturday. I don't know if this is a legit match in the ring. I don't know if this is a cinematic match with the whole Mountain Dew shit, if like the Pitch Black, if that's supposed to be some kind of gimmick. I really don't know. I'm sure it'll be good if they let the guys actually wrestle, and this isn't just going to be cinematic of Bray, doing all of his hocus pocus stuff, and LA Knight's just kind of there to take it. Because I don't think that would be a smart move. Like, I like Bray. I think the creative stuff is great. And I'm intrigued to see where this goes and have it to finally go somewhere. But I don't think it's smart to just take LA Knight and flick him off to the side. He's a great talker. He can get, the audience's attention, and he can obviously hold his own in the ring. Bringing him up, getting the call up when Vince was still in charge, doing the whole Max Dupree, Maximum Male Models thing. Then Triple H gets in charge. He goes back to the LA Knight character. I don't think that would be smart. We just started to invest in this character, and the audience seems to be engaging in him and his obvious charisma. To just have him get squashed or sacrificed in a spiritual hocus pocus way, I don't know if that's smart. Obviously, I do not think that LA Knight will go over or win here, because once again, we need the momentum for Bray and for his stuff to start fucking doing something. But this shouldn't be something either short and sweet where it's a squash, or this long drawn out thing where he looks like a joke it should be some mix. I want this given time. I want some kind of story or like, oh my god, reveal in this story aspect, match, whatever. And then while LA loses, give him some offense, give him some kind of glory of fighting back or something along those lines, because you want both people going forward, and I feel like this is leaning a little bit too heavy on Bray obviously going forward and LA kind of being left in the dust, which could be dangerous. So I don't know, we'll have to see what happens in the Super Mountain Dew Bowl. Okay, so we talked about it already. Alexa's getting messed with already in this, leading up to this Bianca and her match for the title. I'm fine with it. I know everybody's like, oh, why can't Alexa Bliss go back to being just Little Miss Bliss or whatever the fuck she was calling herself when she was, just dominating as women's champion earlier in her call-up. I get that. I like that character too. The spooky aspect of it, or the theatrical, whatever you want to call it, not my favorite. It's one of those things that has to be done with balance, and if you go too far in the scale one way or the other, it's like, ooh, this is not working. And we saw that towards the tail end of her transformation, the previous run. It seems like this is a big merch seller, this character, the Lily doll, whatever it is. So I get from a business standpoint why they're doing it. And, maybe Alexa likes the character as well. I would hope so. Hopefully she's, A-okay'd it. Which it seems like Triple H has a little bit more of that communication with people, as we kind of alluded to in last week's podcast. But anyways, she's going back to the dark side. Seems to be tied in with the Uncle Howdy and the Bray stuff. I'm fine with it. But this is a confusing match to me. I don't know why this is happening. Alexa got her title shot a few weeks ago on Raw. They did the whole... People memed it. I'm not even sure if it was supposed to, but it kind of fit choreography-wise spot on. They did the whole scary movie, the one girl fighting the ring girl, making fun of that, and eventually Alexa lost. And now they're doing it again. And I don't see Bianca losing. I see Bianca going to Mania, and we'll get on to that with the Women's Rumble. It's just one of those confusing things, as another just tie-in, I guess, to the whole Hocus Pocus stuff, is like, if Alexa's going to lose here, there has to be some kind of payoff for her to also elevate her forward or make us, keep us interested in what transformation is going on with her. And like, if she wins, obviously the momentum's behind her. I don't think that's the right move, but I don't know what they could do in the opposite if she is in the losing side. Like, is it just more of a full embrace of Uncle Howdy and then she goes over to SmackDown and we keep all that stuff over on that show? Maybe that's just the reveal, like this is the last straw before she fully gets overrun with this mental game that they're playing with her. I'm not sure. So I'd like Bianca to go over. I see big things for her future ahead in WrestleMania. But we got to figure out what we're doing with Bliss here. So, short and sweet there. Now let's get to the interesting one. Let's get to the Universal title. Because at first this seemed like kind of your run-of-the-mill. Roman's going to win. We're going to build him up for whoever the Royal Rumble winner is. Whether it's the Rumble winner, whether it's Rock, whether it's Cody, whether it's Rock just coming in and not winning the Rumble. And this is just another step on the stepping stone. It's just going through another high-level contender. So him and Owens going at it. Sure, it's going to be a great match, but there's no real question of, like, Roman's winning here. But if you watched Friday on SmackDown, we get a little bit more sprinkling of the story that they're trying to tell with the Bloodline, the Usos, Solo Sikoa, and Sami Zayn. Now, obviously, Sami's not blood-related Uso. He is the honorary Uso, and he has this past relationship with Owens. We've kind of messed with that with War Games, how he did the haluva kick. He set him up for Jay. Jay does the splash, pins Owens, whatever. Owens goes to this contract signing, kind of jumps the whole group. I guess Zayn was not there, but then showed up later. He signs the contract, leaving Roman in this rubble of the table. And Zayn picks up the contract, looks at it, and kind of becomes flabbergasted, shocked. And he looks at Owens, Owens is staring at him from the crowd. A lot of people are speculating that maybe he signed Sammy's name on the contract instead of his own. And it's interesting. I don't think Sammy's going to turn on Bloodline, but as of tomorrow, as of recording on Monday Night Raw, they were going to do this big whole tribal celebration with the Bloodline, but now they're doing like not a court case, but the trial of Sami Zayn. So we're starting to see the tears of, Sami getting punished by this group, and then hopefully an eventual hero arc, whether him and Owens go to the tag titles, or, as we talked about, Sami going for the main belt. I'm interested to see where this goes. It's just a really compelling story that they're telling between this group and obviously the former relationship of Owens and Zayn. I don't know what to do because, once again, let's say just the match goes normal. Owens and Reigns in, I think it's a cell or a cage. They fight. It's going to be good, but Roman's going to win, right? If Zayn's name was written on the contract, I don't understand why Zayn would turn. I think this would be more of the situation where he's like, no, Oos, I didn't mean to do this, anything like that. He really wants to be part of the Bloodline, as we've seen, and he's been ecstatic to join them or be accepted by them. On Monday, do we get this big turn, and then I guess Owens does just go fight in his stead, or is it the thing like I talked about where he goes for the title? I think that would be you're speeding to it, and I don't think that's good. I think you almost come Monday, if they're going to follow through with Sami out of the Bloodline kind of thing. I can't, take credit for this, but What Culture Wrestling has talked about this, but Sami gets massacred eventually when this turn happens, right? So during this trial, maybe that's what happens. He gets just kicked the shit out of, left behind. If they're really going to go over with it, the whole blood thing, I know they're PG or don't want to do blood anymore, but that could be an extra point to it. You leave him destroyed in the ring and he's fully cleared. Owens fights Saturday in the Rumble, and then you could build to this return of Zayn, this big revenge story, hero comeback, whatever. That could be interesting. Now we got the whole Rumble discussion, and as we talked about Rock and Cody being top contenders, where it's like, what's the likelihood of that being like the Mania thing? I don't know. It'd be cool. I like Zayn. Zayn's been great for years. He hasn't always had the best character, in my opinion, but he's definitely always consistent. It'd be cool to see. It's a compelling story, which is, what you want from any medium that you're partaking in. So this one, I think the result is clear that Roman will go over regardless of what path they take of Owens, or if they're going to spearhead Sami and fast track that, which I think would be the wrong move, to just have all this build, and then, just quick cut it off right there and have him fight at Rumble. But Roman's going over regardless. We've been building towards this Mania thing for ages. Whether it's Rock, whether it's Cody, we've been building for it so long. I don't think we can hit red button, break glass in case of emergency, and do something different of a Mania payoff. Now, in terms of who he's fighting, I can see some flexibility in there because of how strong this story could be and is. But it's also a very, not fishy situation, but like a rough situation of like what you had the build for these two players. What do you do with them post that. And I guess we could talk about that once we get to the men's Rumble. But we're in an interesting spot of like, okay, it's not super clear. Not saying that we want it to be super clear, because that's the point. You go into these things, these shows, these experiences, wanting to see what unfolds, right? You don't want to know, oh, at the end, yeah, it's just going to be them. That was predictable, which I had a fear for going into this Rumble, to be honest, at least in terms of the men's, which once again we'll talk to once we get to that, of like, well, we know how that one's going to end, and it still could end that way, don't get me wrong. But the fun of it is the journey, right? You're hooked on like a fish, and you're just being reeled in the whole time, and it's intriguing and compelling and whatever. You don't want it just be like, well, that was expected. Yep, move on to next week. Yeah, there's Brock Lesnar again beating everybody. Oh, sorry, too real. You want it something to be egging you on. So with this added element to it, that makes it interesting. I don't think particularly Saturday's result will be any different. However, this does set things up down the road to be a little bit more of a mystery, which I appreciate. So let's talk about the Rumble, shall we? So far, I guess if you don't know, the Royal Rumble is a 30-man/30-woman match. Two people start, and they have, as of right now, what the website says, every 90 seconds a new person will enter. They get eliminated by going over the top rope, and you go until the final person stands. So we have so far participants who have declared that they're going to be part of the Royal Rumble. For the ladies, we only have 6. We have Liv Morgan, as of recording, Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, Rhea Ripley, Candice LeRae, Shayna Baszler, and Zelina Vega. Okay, great. I guess I'll just say that, well, we're just talking about the ladies, so we'll keep the guys for later. So, 6 participants called. That means we got 24 left. Oh boy. All right, so the ladies could be interesting. So I'm going to pull up the roster. I don't know if I can filter between male and female. Does not look like it. Okie dokie. So let's talk about who could be in this. So we have these 6. So right now on the active roster, wow, some of these ladies I do not recognize because they're NXT. So your main roster, we got Bliss, we got Asuka, we got B-Fab, we got Bayley, you got Becky Lynch, you got we got, keep going, Carmella, Charlotte Flair, Dakota Kai, Dana Brooke, Doudrop, Emma, Io Sky, now, you know, if I was smart, I would have actually wrote down what kind of numbers we're looking at. Lacey Evans, I already talked about Liv. You got Maxine Dupree. I don't think she's wrestled at all. You got Mia Yim. Naomi is still listed. You got Natalya. You got Nikki Cross. It's very exciting content, I know. We got Ronda Rousey. Scarlett Bordeaux. Shotzi Blackheart, or rather just Shotzi now. Sonya Deville. Tegan Knox. I like how vacant is the person on here. What is that? Oh, you got Sarah Logan going by Valhalla now? Didn't know that. Xia Li and Zelina Vega, which I think she declared. Okay, so obviously I think a decent amount of those ladies are going to be showing up. Now, NXT-wise, who do I think could be called up? That is where we start getting to the interesting stuff. Who from NXT is going to show up? Who from the Legends is going to show up? So let's hypothetically say you have 6 surprises. Okay? So we have 6 announced. That leaves us with, whoever fills out that 24, blanking on math, 18. So let's say 6 surprises. There may be more. They tend to go pretty hard on the legends here of like returns just because, the women's rumble is a little bit more new compared to the men's, as it's only been running 3 years at this point. So legends wise, we've seen the Bellas almost every year. I think actually every year. Alicia Fox makes an appearance a lot for some reason. Kelly shows up a lot. Michelle McCool shows up a lot. Mighty Molly or Molly Holly shows up every time. We've had Beth Phoenix show up. Most of them. So who am I thinking outside the box? We had Mickie James from the Impact thing. That was a big last year. 2 years ago, we had Victoria show up during the pandemic. Who, legend-wise, do I think shows up? I think it'd be cool to have Victoria come back just because she showed up during the pandemic Rumble. So to have her show up in front of a live crowd, kind of give her that ovation, I think that would be nice. I think Melina making a comeback would be nice, especially from last year. She was number 2. Everybody was really excited. And then unfortunately, I don't know if it was on purpose or just a mishap, she fell out almost immediately to Sasha Banks eliminating her. So that was something. I'd love to see Beth back, but I don't know if this is an appropriate spot unless we're going to set up her getting revenge against Rhea. Now, while that makes sense from a story point, that is going to throw a little bit of a wrench into who I want to win or who I think's going to win. So let's put a pin in that. I don't know who else outside of like those usuals that I listed would make an appearance that would be big, at least from a legend standpoint. Someone who's been there for a while and obviously is out of the game, question mark, or quotations. So let's talk about surprises. So if we're talking NXT strictly, I think Zoe Stark would be a great one. She's obviously been around for a little while in NXT and, has not made a lot of moves in terms of titles, but from a ring perspective, she does very, very well. So I think that would be a fun one that I would enjoy. Do we see Toxic Attraction? Do we see Gigi Dolan or JC Jane make an appearance? Before that, I'd be down for that. There's one thing, if we want to take a quick sidebar with tropes for Royal Rumble, that I absolutely hate. There's 2. One is tag teams. Not that tag teams shouldn't be in the Rumble. No. But when they do surprise tag teams, right? Well, no, I guess you could say this for any tag team. Most tag teams, what happens? You bring in one tag team partner and then give it a bar of like 3 spaces. The next tag team partner is coming in. They do a little bit of tag team stuff together. And then, it doesn't really matter. They both get eliminated at the same time, whatever it is. I want, like, a weird gap. I want either, one tag team partner to come way at the beginning and then the other one come at the end, or just only one part of the tag team. Because the whole thing is supposed to be random, right? If we're breaking the wall and immersing ourselves in this. Like, you got the whole Tumblr, everybody picks a random number, yada, yada, yada. What's the chances? There are chances that the tag team can enter that close to each other, but it happens all the time. Just do something different. It's too predictable in that terms. On to the second trope. We talked about this random Tumblr, right? Okay. Everything should be determined about the Royal Rumble match in what's the term when you go to the movies? It's like immersion. Peanut Gallery, I don't know if you're listening. Can you help me out with that?
I'm sorry, what is the question?
So, like, if you go to a movie theater and you're trying to just immerse yourself in this world, and there's a term for it where, like, you forget everything that's going on in the world. You're really invested into it mentally and conceptually. Oh, maybe someone in check.
We're not talking about immersion?
It's along the same lines, but there's like a saying or a phrase that's crud. I don't remember. Someone's yelling at me while they're listening or watching to this, and I apologize that I can't hear you, but thank you for helping. Essentially immersion of, like, the match is supposed to be set beforehand and everything's set in play. I guess this trope can be split into two. If a wrestler has fought the night of the Rumble, do not have them fight again in the Rumble match. Now, I could see this being taken, or fought against with, like, tag team superstars. Why can't a tag team superstar fight in this separate match to get a world title shot?
Are you thinking of suspension of disbelief?
Thank you! Suspension of disbelief. Oh my goodness. Yes, thank you very much.
Yep.
I need to suspend my disbelief and think that this match has been planned all the way through. Okay, so that's going to come a little bit later in part 2 while I freak out. Tag team wrestlers, I get it. They want their shot at the main title. For me, as an audience member, that's just a little boring of, like, oh, I already saw these guys. This isn't exciting of, like, oh, it's somebody new. So I don't like that. If they participate in a match, they shouldn't be part of the Rumble. I get, from a tag team perspective and a mid-card U.S. title, Intercontinental title, whatever, I get that, why they would be in that match. It just, to me as an audience, is a little bit of a lower note. The one that really pisses me off, and the suspension of disbelief really comes in, if the bitch, the person, if the piece, the motherfucker fought in a world title match that night, don't put them in the Rumble. I know we were talking about the ladies' Rumble, but don't do it. Hey, guess who's number 30? Oh, it's Brock Lesnar, who fought Roman Reigns for the fucking title that night. Or was it Bobby Lashley? Loses his title, comes in as number 30, and wins it all. Last Rumble sucked. That's the dumbest thing ever. And it's not the first time they've done that. Where the fucking person who competed in a world title match, regardless of being the champ or being the person who was going after it and lost, is in the same fucking Rumble. Stupid. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. I get the gimmicks where they're like, oh, I'm the SmackDown champion. We're going after the other championship. Fine, it was a little unique, whatever. It's stupid still. Don't do it. Absolutely don't do it. Just everybody fresh. Fresh contenders. Let's go in there. Have someone new win this. Okay? All right. I'll get off my soapbox now. That's just something I found annoying, especially watching the past 5 or 6 years Rumbles lately over the holiday break. Did not like that. All right, so let's go back to the ladies, shall we? We talked about NXT people showing up. I talked about Zoe Stark. I think that would be cool. We talked about Toxic Attraction. That would be neat. Just don't do the normal tag team trope. Now, I guess you could be like, well, Bret, you said you don't want world title people in the Rumble. Yes, but now I'm going to be a hypocrite and say Roxanne Perez would be a great one. We've seen it in the past where NXT champions have come in, made a blast on the, make an appearance in the Royal Rumble match, and people are excited for it. We've seen it with Andrade. We've seen it with, there was another champ before him that I think did it. I don't remember. North American champions have made it too. But they make a splash, they make an impression, they build the brand, they build themselves, make it more exciting. I think that's a little bit different if the NXT champ, regardless of men's and women's, shows up and makes an appearance here. Because it's letting the bigger audience, the grand scale audience, know who this person is, give them a little bit light, and the reality of them winning is lower, but once again, is a little bit of a tool to kind of improve on this person's success when they do eventually move up to the main roster. So I think Roxanne makes perfect sense for an appearance here. One that I don't think will happen in terms of NXT, but I would love to see happen. Let's get Meiko Satomura in there. Last we saw her was Worlds Collide when NXT and NXT UK kind of had their unification event. Just have her in there. She's a legend. You know, she's been wrestling since WCW days. That could be a fun one. Who else do we have here from NXT? We've had Katana Chance years ago. Casey Catanzaro being one. She could be in it again. Indy Hartwell. This could be a good way to get her up on the main roster. Maybe help out Candice. Kind of reunite the way a little bit. That could be fun. Yeah, I think that's all the NXT people I have. Cora Jade, maybe. Yeah. Okay. So from NXT, at least on the ladies' side, that's what I have of people that I think could show up, and that would be fun. Or Alba Fire. I know she's been doing some main event stuff. So in terms of big surprises, not with the company right now, or is returning from injury, or just hiatus. Let's get to the balls to the wall picks for the ladies. Naomi is the standout, right? Or at least everybody's talking about it. We had Mercedes Moné, formerly known as Sasha Banks, obviously show up in New Japan. Recently is going to challenge Kairi for the IWGP women's title in like San Francisco or something like that. I don't recall. So Sasha's out. She's doing that. That would be nuts if she showed up here, but I highly doubt that's going. Naomi, on the other side of the coin, while she's been doing her own stuff, hasn't really, wrestling-wise at least, made a splash anywhere else. I don't know if her contract is up. I don't know if she's still waiting out her time. I don't know if she's mended fences. But that would be a big one in terms of just like, hey, you're back. You know, Naomi hasn't been my favorite, but I think she certainly holds her own in there. And a lot of people do like her, so I think that would be cool to see. Now, if we're getting crazier. All right, we just talked about Kairi. I think it would be absolutely insane if Kairi Sane showed up to the Rumble. She's had a very successful career over in Japan since returning there. Obviously, she has a lot of history in WWE, being a tag team champion, being a multi-time NXT champion. I think multi-time, maybe just once. That would be huge. If Asuka's good to go, have a little reunion in the match with Asuka. Have a fun time there. That would be insane because obviously we seem to have a little bit of a relationship with New Japan with the whole Carl Anderson thing, defending the Never Openweight Championship. And I know it was Noah, which is a different company, but Shinsuke going over to do the retirement match with Great Muta. That would be cool. We had obviously the thing with Mickey last year. I know that was a little different circumstances of like, oh my God, we released too many of the women talent to even have a Rumble here. Break glass. I know that was a different situation, but I think Kairi Sane would be incredible. That would be a great one to show up, just have some fun with it. And, you know, I think everybody benefits from that cross-promotion. Chelsea Green is another one who's been rumored for a while to be returning. As far as I know, free agent, formerly of Impact. If she's going to show up, this would be the time to do it. I don't know how much of a, not a play on words, an impact that would make. The Rumble crowd seems to be one of those more quote-unquote smarter crowds of like, they watch everything, they know everything, or at least, you know, they're open to it. So like the NXT talent, once again, as in past Rumbles experiences, they get that reaction. I think this would be another one where Chelsea gets the reaction. It's just a matter of how does that carry over week to week. We'll have to build on that as we go forward. Due to her past time in WWE, went fine, but unfortunately was plagued with some injuries. So it'll be a rebuild for her. So we'll have to see if she makes an appearance. Who else, if anybody? I'm trying to think of who's not like locked up anywhere or signed. I think of a return, I guess, is my last one, just because I'm blanking and can't think of anybody else outside. But Dewdrop, I would love for Piper Niven Dewdrop to come back here. She's been gone for a while. I think it was a whole work visa thing. That's why a lot of the NXT UK talent was out for a while, but now they're making the return, like a Tyler Bate, a Gallus, making their return to the NXT brand. I think she was under similar circumstances where something happened there. So I'm just assuming, I don't know anything about work visas, but if those guys got cleared or the process went forward, I would assume she's also on a similar path or track. So it'd be cool to see her come back and maybe change the name, but whatever. We're not using real names anyway, so I don't recall if Piper's her real name. Maybe go back to that or change it up. But you also want her to be recognizable, so a new name with a return could be a little problematic. So, participants. At least that's who I'm going to think is going to show up. Who do I think is going to win the Ladies' Rumble? I kind of alluded to it earlier with the whole Beth Phoenix returning thing, setting something up with Rhea. While that makes sense, I think this is Rhea's Rumble. Rhea's made a strong performance in the past 2 Rumbles that she has been a part of. First appearance with the NXT show up, was in there a decent amount of time, got some eliminations. Last year, I think it was last year. No, I'm sorry. It was 2 years ago with the Pandemic Rumble. Her and Bianca being the 2 finalists. Obviously, she's been right there on the cusp of victory. So I think with the momentum Rhea has of building her character and what they're doing with Judgment Day, I think this makes perfect sense. They've made her look tough, made her look strong, even kind of coming to eye with some of the male superstars. I think that would be the right move. And then we get Bianca and Rhea at Mania for the title. I think that would set up things very nicely and have a great match at that show. So yeah, that would be my choice for Saturday. So let's flip over to the men's side. All right, so there's a little bit more of the gentlemen who have declared for this year's Rumble. We have Rey Mysterio, Santos Escobar, Baron Corbin, Braun Strowman, Omos, Sheamus, Drew McIntyre, Gunther, Austin Theory, Seth Rollins, Bobby Lashley, Ricochet, Kofi Kingston, and the returning Cody Rhodes. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So almost half of the field has been revealed for the men's Rumble. Ooh boy. So obviously a little bit more limited on the options here. And obviously the men's roster a little bit bigger than the ladies roster. So not going to scroll through everything here. We'll probably just go with who may make an appearance here, who's active that hasn't declared. We'll do the usual thing, but we'll try and not take too much time. So the big question, I guess, before we get to, well, no, sorry. Let's talk about current people who I think could be in it that are not declared. So we got Kofi declared. Woods could be a safe bet if we're going the usual tag team thing. Hit Row probably won't make it because Ricochet had to beat Top Dollar to get in there. The Miz would be a safe bet. Shinsuke making a return in there. Zayn, if we're going to not beat the snot out of him on Monday. You could probably say Ridge Holland and Butch. I don't think Orton. I think he's still dealing with injury. Mustafa Ali in there would be good. I don't know if we get either the Street Profits in there. No. Do you get Madcap in there? Do you get either of the Good Brothers in there? Same with Imperium. No. Do you get Cross in there to kind of continue the story they're trying to tell with Rey Mysterio? Is Gargano healthy enough to go into the Rumble? Same with Legato, not healthy-wise, but does Legato get in there? Raiders get in there? There's a lot of question marks, especially from a tag team side of things. Judgment Day, Finn or Damian, or Dominic, I guess. Ziggles, Loomis. Yeah, there's a lot up in there. Either the Alpha Academy. Oof. So yeah, there's a lot of room for, like, it could be obvious people, an obvious 16, especially with all these tag teams I'm listing off. Or do we have some fun with this? So it has potential to be a really interesting Rumble or a more plain Jane standard Rumble. And I guess this is where we can talk about the surprises. We'll get into that. Because we kind of alluded to it. The main people we've thought for a while that were going to win the men's Rumble was either The Rock. We're going to set up the whole Tribal Chief versus The Rock scenario for the Bloodline, who's the whole real leader of the Samoan dynasty. Or we're going to have Cody Rhodes and this whole prophecy fulfilling, returning to WWE, getting the title as dad number one, and going for that. Both of those options make sense for what we've built and what we've portrayed. Rhodes being declared for the Rumble is an interesting one. Why not just have him be a surprise? And it could be, because everybody's expecting Rhodes. We'll just say it's Rhodes, coming back. Good. He's going to get a pop regardless, so I can get that. But the Rumble's all about surprises. Does that mean they have something bigger? Dwayne would be bigger. It'd be a mixed bag. I'm not going to lie. I would still be excited. But then also, if he gets to the point where he wins the title, it's more like it's a part-time guy. I'd just be a little bit more open to it because it doesn't happen all the time, like the Lesnar-Goldberg situation. Signs point to Rock returning in some capacity. There's more merch being made for him that either leaked or just came out early on the shop. Same with Rhodes, their hoodies or whatever. But now there's things going around that Rock doesn't feel he's going to be ready for Mania. And that could be like, is this a swerve? Is he trying to throw people off the scent? Or for some reason, does he not think he's going to be ready? And this wasn't talked about ages and ages ago. If it wasn't, oof, that's a big yikes, especially being a movie guy. I'm sure his schedule is a little bit busier. Ew. So, okay. So you got those guys being surprises. So now it really comes into play of, like, once again, is this going to be an interesting Rumble where we just go balls to the walls, Triple H is in charge creatively for the first time, and let's have some fun with it? Or we already know our destination, let's just throw in people that aren't not important, but like I said, all these tag team people who are around, established, can be cannon fodder, for lack of a better phrase. We're walking a fine line here of not a bad Rumble, but it could be a less interesting Rumble. So let's go and have fun, right? That's what this whole event is about, is having fun. Let's just go with, let's get crazy, let's get nuts. Who do we want to return to this thing? Who do we want to show up? So let's talk about people who are in the company right now that I want to show up in this thing. And I think number one that I would be the happiest man alive if they showed up is Big E. We haven't heard anything about Big E. He's currently in Australia right now with the New Day causing all kind of chaos. But he obviously had his big neck injury, very scary. We don't know his status of health. We don't know what's going on with him, but this would be another perfect opportunity for him to show up, especially with the whole Rumble, drama of the surprise, the build-up, etc. Hear nothing about him, having his music come off, that would be an amazing ovation for him. So I think Big E is top for at least people in the company right now I would love to see return or make an appearance there. If we're going back to the NXT side of things, I think Braun Breaker's another shoe-in, similar to Roxanne Perez. of someone who comes in as current NXT champion, just kind of gets a little bit more time with the audience or shown on the main roster. We have some fun there. Two more NXT guys that I think would be interesting to see. Cameron Grimes. We haven't seen him in a little bit. No idea what he's doing. I think the last time we saw him was in a segment with the Good Brothers on NXT maybe 2 months ago. And Carmelo Hayes. He's been making waves in NXT for quite some time. He could be ready for a main roster call sooner rather than later. Let's see. Gargano is an interesting one. Gargano's been in one Rumble so far. I think he might be hurt. If he's not hurt, love to see him in that, but I'm not sure. And on the other side of the coin, you got DIY, you got Ciampa. He's another one who's also hurt, where it's like we don't know his status, so the likelihood of that one is pretty low. And I guess if we're going to keep on the injury train, Randy Orton. Randy Orton's another one who apparently had a very scary injury where he might not ever return to the ring. If he does get to a healthy point or is at a healthy point, be great to see him back. I wouldn't want him to win it or anything, but, just in terms of a superstar, obviously he's a superstar. So, speaking of Randy, let's talk about Riddle. Has Riddle figured his shit out? Apparently he got caught with some drugs and not the blazing kind, and he went to rehab. Did he do his program? Is he in a better place now? If so, throw him in here. If not, you keep getting better, please. You were on an upswing. If we're thinking about some recent hints that we've been dropping on Raw week to week, Nikki Cross has been dealing us, the audience, a lot of sanity teases. I don't know if this would be the appropriate time to have Sanity return unless they're going to go with a way rivalry with Gargano and Lumis, and you have them jump them and get them out of the Rumble or something. I don't know if this is where EY, Big Damo, and Alexander Wolf would return. I'm not sure how effective that would be. It could work if it's a jumping angle and just eliminating them there, but as entrance, I don't think that works. I think Sikoa going in there and bulldozing a little bit would be nice. Wesley would be cool. He's got the high flying skills. Maybe give him something that he can do a Kofi save or something like that. I'm not sure. So that's it for current guys. Legends. Who do we want legend-wise to show up and make a return? I mean, you got Road Dogg there. You got X-Pac coming back Monday for the 30th. I think X-Pac would be fun. I think he was doing some indie stuff recently with Joey Janela, so he's in at least some kind of ring shape. So that might be a fun one because we haven't had him return to Rumble yet in terms of a legend status. Where are they? They're in Texas. I don't know if Booker or HBK would do it. Can't do Henry. He's in AEW. Stone Cold? No. I don't know. I don't know for legends. I can't really think of anybody at least that stands out. So let's talk about the unknowns. Let's talk about the wild cards, the other companies who may be free agents right now. Big one in terms of not The Rock or Rhodes. Obviously Rhodes is in the company, but that would be an interesting one, is Cardona. Matt Cardona, aka Zack Ryder, making a return. I don't know if he's currently tied up with anywhere. I want to say he might be signed to Impact as like the major players or something like that. But recently, in a weird turn of events, he's filed for trademark of Zack Ryder, which I thought was under WWE ownership. I don't know how trademark works. Weird. You could just have, him show up once, do a short deal, like obviously Mickey did last year with Impact. If he is signed there, just make an appearance, get a little of a a pop, get that cross promotion going. That would be fine. We've had a lot of NXT talent or release talent return already. So like Bronson Reed would have been a one I would have really enjoyed, but he's already obviously back, kind of helping out the Miz. I'm trying to think who else was maybe released that hasn't made a return yet. Oof, man, I'm drawing blanks. It's always like one of those things where it's like you're on the spot and you can't think of the answer even though you know you've thought about it before or it's popped up in your head. Yeah, I'm not sure. Not sure, because a lot of these people I'm thinking are tied to other companies like AEW. So there's absolutely no chance that's happening unless like some miracle has happened where they figured out some kind of deal that they would do something like that. But the probability of that is very, very low. Wow, yeah, looking through the alumni page, I'm like, geez. There's a lot of familiar faces in there. Oh, wow. See? Good thing, I talked it out. I guess this will be my last one. Pie in the sky. No idea if it would happen. But there's a little rumors going around that a certain superstar is in a loser leaves town match. But it's just a matter of when that match is. Let me look that up. It's a New Japan talent. But Jay White, what's he up to? Apparently he's got a loser leave town match coming up. It's either already happened or will be happening very soon. And I'm curious to know if that goes through, if he'll show up. I know he's obviously shown up in AEW a little bit. He's shown up in Impact, but I don't think that was anything where it was an official signing, anything like that. It was just more of an appearance deal. But Jay White could be one of those huge arrivals that people wouldn't expect. So let's see. Jay White challenges Hikuleo. Loser leaves Japan match. New Year's Dash. When is that? At Thursday's New Japan Pro Wrestling New Year Dash event. Oh, that's a throwback. Never mind. Are you going to tell me when the stupid event was? You suck, Wrestling Observer. So yeah, it all comes down to timing here. Because if it's before the Rumble and he loses, quick trips have happened. We had Hardys lose to the Bucks on a Saturday and then return on Mania on a Sunday to the WWE, Why is every article I'm reading not giving me a date? Just tell me when this thing is supposed to happen. Did they not maybe announce a date? Maybe it's just the challenge. Maybe you just put out the challenge there. If so, crap. Because then the timing doesn't work. This is the week of. We need results, man. Well, all right. Well, I'll stick to my guns. Jay White will be my other wild card happening. Like I said, he's got the loser leaves Japan match. He's made a little bit of an impact. Once again, an impact in AEW in the America countries, but he hasn't made anything happen WWE-wise as far as I recall. He's got some ties with AEW, with Adam Cole and the rest of the Elite. Excuse me. So it's really up in air in terms of that. But, it's WWE. It's quite the big stage. I think the only thing that would really become a factor in terms of this and any surprises is the whole Vince stuff. Triple H seems to be a big motivator for people and very compelling reason to go there. I don't know if Vince returning in his official capacities would either nix something like this of like, nope, can't do that now, no budget, or if that would cut off the deal from the other side before maybe pen was put to paper. It's just a matter of time will tell. So we'll have to see. It's looking exciting for the Rumble. You know, it's always a fun time of year just seeing who shows up, counting down, obviously, every entrant, having some fun, placing some bets with friends and family, and just enjoying the ride that you go on. So come Saturday, we'll have to see who shows up, who wins, if we go the obvious route, if we have some fun with it, with some twists and turns, and see what stories they're going to tell. But just a matter of time. Hopefully you guys enjoy it if you are going to partake in it, and we can have some fun talking about what's going to happen come Mania of what stories they're trying to tell. But guys, this has been another episode of the Wait What Are We Talking About podcast. My name is Bret, aka Enigma9011, and you can catch this podcast live each and every Sunday over on twitch.tv/Enigma9011 at 8 p.m. Eastern. Check us out over there. Join the chat. Join on the fun and the conversation if you'd like. But if you can't catch live, that's A-okay. We go over to YouTube and podcast services the very next week where it's broken out topic by topic and put as one big video and MP3 for your amusement on the following Friday. Last but not least, any way you can support, leaving a comment, review, sharing the show with someone you like. It would be greatly appreciated. It may seem small, but it does help the channel grow and expand, grow to new heights. I don't know. It means the world to us, so we'd appreciate you guys for that. Thank you guys for hanging out with us today, giving us a watch, giving us a listen, and we will see you guys on the next one. Take care.